Hello, everyone. My name is Simba Stenquist, and I'm a somatic stress and tension release trainer here at Living with the Spirit. And today I'm going to do my best to explain the polyvagal theory using a graphic model, but also explaining the different parts of the autonomic nervous system, which is really what we're working with when we're talking about the polyvagal theory. So when we look at the polyvagal theory, it is really a way of explaining how our autonomic nervous system, the automatic part of our nervous system, explains how we perceive ourselves as safe or lack of feeling safe. Your autonomic nervous system also regulates all the automatic functions in your body. So like breathing, heart rate, temperature, digestion, immune system responses, blood pressure, all of these things that are really good not to have to think about, right? Like you don't want to forget about your heartbeats and then your heart is not beating. So our body has our autonomic nervous system as a way of taking care of that. So it happens automatically. And on top of that, it also has a way of perceiving, are we, the human organism, feeling safe or lack of safety, and then immobilizes resources to navigate that threat. And I'm going to share screen with you so you can get a view of how that can look like. So this is the polyvagal theory seen from a chart, and it's from the TRE, tension and trauma release provided training that I teach. And it's really a way of graphically looking at the autonomic nervous system and the different zones that we have that can help us determine where we're at in terms of stress, in terms of feeling safety, in terms of noticing where someone else is at, where they're at in terms of feeling safe or lack of safety. So if you look at the first part here, the green zone, that's called social engagement. We have keywords like connection, safety, oriented to the environment. This part is called the ventral vagal, and it's part of the parasympathetic nervous system. This part is when you're feeling calm, safe, open, mindful, compassionate. You have a sense of curiosity and you're present, you're grounded. So you feel comfortable enough to ask someone a question and you don't feel that this question might be seen as a stupid question or a question that will make you lose face or look in a certain way. No, you're open, you're compassionate, you feel safe enough to be vulnerable and to share your strengths and your weaknesses. And we feel very present in the moment. This is what we call the green cell. Digestion is working well. The saliva in your mouth is keeping your mouth moisty. Your heartbeat is probably steady. And you're feeling good. You're feeling calm, safe, connected, grounded. Now, the red zone is called the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system, we also call the red zone. And in the sympathetic nervous system, we have these two famous flight or fight responses. And the flight response simply means we mobilize energy to move away from a danger, either a real one or perceived one. Either a wild animal is coming towards us and we try to fight it, or we try to run away from it. Or maybe there's a daunting task at work. I'm going to have this big presentation and I don't really know how I'm going to do it. So I might be avoiding it and procrastinating it and pushing it forward. That will be more of a flight response. Whereas a fight response might be like, I'm going to do it today. I'm going to push it forward. I'm going to, it can also be in our argumentation with someone that I'm kind of trying to avoid, don't want to say anything about it, or that can become very argumentative and even goes to the point of physical altercations between people or individuals. So the sympathetic nervous system mobilizes energy to protect ourselves or to flee away from danger when we have emptied the social resources that are in the green zone, which means I'm not safe to the point where I can verbally communicate my needs. It becomes more primal. Might raise our voice, move my hands more. You might see it. Someone might be red in their face. You feel your pulse going because you get adrenaline into your body. Your body's mobilizing energy so that you can fight or flight from this threat. There's a third response here that's not on the curve in this chart, and that's called fawning or people pleasing in common language. And that's not really fleeing away from the danger or fighting it. It's that you forsake your own opinion and needs in favor of other people's opinions as an act to feel safe. So we're not really running away, we're not fighting, we're just giving up and allowing other people to guide us to take charge, right? And what happens with a fawning response is usually that we forget about ourselves. We needed to do that for a period of our time for survival, but it gets ingrained in the nervous system and it stays with us for years. So this is what we call the fawning response. Now, the last part is the blue zone. What you can see here is big capital letters, freeze. The body collapse, immobility. So this is what's called the dorsal vagal zone. This is where your body starts to shut down and have a preparation for death, actually. And it's a high level of stress that we can go into when we have emptied the resources of fight, flight, or fawn. So how you can see also here, there's a two-letter or two words here, I can. That's the red zone. We're able to do something, right? I'm able to take charge of the situation. I feel empowered enough to do it, fueled by adrenaline, but I feel empowered enough that I can do something about the situation. Whereas in the blue zone, we have gone from I can to I can't. So that's when we start to shut down, shame, hopelessness, numbness, depression, dissociation. Your body's feeling all this stress and is trying to tell the brain to do something, but the brain protects itself because it's getting too many signals of stress, but it's not able to solve the situation with fight, flight, or fawning. So now your brain's going to release endorphins, natural painkillers, opiates, that numbs the brain so the brain doesn't feel the signals from the body. We're stressed, we're under threat, we need to do something. And that's what's called dissociation. Mind and body are not talking. Your body is still feeling the stress, but your mind is not really listening. And that is why when you do grounding exercises sometime, you might not always feel more calm and more relaxed. You might actually feel the stress because you're going from the blue zone into the red zone. And this is also a big part of why there's a lot of trauma training and trauma-informed training within yoga and body-based modalities today, is to help recognize the symptoms when it happens in people so that we can safely guide them to resources, allowing them to have an experience of going through the red zone and start to feel safe again. So to the left, we have some numbers from 1 to 10, and we use these numbers in the Theory provided training program for people to rate themselves where you're at on your level of grounding or activation. So 1 to 3 will be the green zone, calm, collected, present. A 4 to 7 will be the red zone, the sympathetic nervous system. Something is urging us to take action. And 8 to 10 would be the dorsal vagal, the blue zone, which has all to do with bodies shutting down and kind of preparing for death. So when we look at this depiction of the polyvagal theory, there are also something called hybrid states zones. So it doesn't mean that we're only in one zone and then in the next one. There is certain states or activities in life where you're in dual states. So for instance, if I'm playing, I usually feel safe. Then I would be in the green and the red zone at the same time, right? If you're involved in a sport activity or high level management, business deal, or meeting, you might be activated, but also connected to the blue zone. That's what's called in the zone. So you shut down enough of other sensations so we can focus on something completely and be in the zone. That's how an athlete can be in a stadium and there's thousands of people screaming, and you look at them and they just have a tunnel vision. Nothing else exists. This, and where I'm going. And that's what's called being in the zone. So really, none of these states are bad. They all exist for a reason, and we won't stay in a state longer than we need. This is the natural state where we thrive, grow, and feel good, when the body starts to heal, when we have all the self-healing capacities and mechanisms going for us, right? And a simple one would be, you're asleep. Let's say you're in the green zone when you're asleep. We might be asleep in the red and in the blue zone, but let's say for the example's sake, you're in the green zone when you're asleep and the alarm goes, a little bit of adrenaline, you wake up, you start going for your day. Maybe you do some morning practices, slow everything down, make yourself ready for the day. And then as the day go, your body will most likely go up and down into the different zones, depending what you're doing, right? You rush to your car or to your bus, you go to your job. Maybe you're in a meeting or in school and you really don't like what you're hearing. So your body goes to the blue zone and it zones out. So now you can kind of get an idea for how we will travel through the nervous system throughout our days. The key is to recognize early signs of you traveling up or down the curve in this nervous system. The earlier you can notice this, the easier it is for you to use a grounding resource that will help you balance yourself so you don't get to a point where you feel checked out or stressed out, or you start to feel reactive and you might say something that you didn't want to say. You might act out of character because there was so much stress in your body. So this is a little bit about the polyvagal theory, seen through the lens of the polyvagal curve, which is something we use in the Theory Provider Training Program, and something that we use a lot here at Living with the Spirit when we teach both clients, students, and guests that comes here and stay with us at the retreat. So I'm really happy that you follow along this video, and in the next couple of videos, I will do a little bit more of a deep dive into each and every zone, and also talk a little bit about what you more specifically can do if you find yourself being in one of these different zones. Thank you so much for following along, and I'll see you in the next video.